Once again, the Anaheim Angels are in the baseball news cycle, and it is not for the good reasons. Dominating the headlines once again is Anthony Rendon because he doesn't play baseball. That is once again the news and word out of Angels camp in Tempe, Arizona, where Anthony Rendon is to undergo hip surgery and miss all of, if not most of, 2025 season. There is no timetable for his return. Anthony Rendon is entering the last 2 years of his 7-year, $245 million deal with the Angels that he signed prior to the 2020 season. And in all 5 seasons so far with the Angels, he has played less than 60 games. In every single one of those seasons, less than 60 games. Let that marinate. I've talked about them extensively because they are an interesting bunch. They really are an interesting bunch as to how this club now is on the longest playoff drought in baseball. They were tied with Detroit last season, but of course the Tigers made the playoffs. So the Angels now hold that record all by themselves, 10 seasons strong. And the funny thing is, of course, the crosstown rival, the Dodgers, are on, 11 straight seasons in the postseason? So polar opposites, and you can see why the Angels are losing fans. You can say what you want about those fans, but they are losing fans, and it really is a shame to see those fans, just turn into Dodger fans because the Angels are just so bad. That is what is happening, and if you're still an Angels fan, I commend you because it is hard to be a fan of this team, but hey, they are your team at the end of the day. So I want to go back through the past 10 years of Angels baseball at this long playoff drought in baseball. Now the Angels, we got to start with their history. The Angels, the longest drought between playoffs has actually been 17 seasons. So really not even close to that. 17 seasons for the Angels between playoff droughts, and that was when they were inaugurated. So 61 to 77, they did not make the playoffs from the first season to their 17th season. And of course, back in those days, only like 4 teams made the postseason, so it was really hard to make the postseason. Granted, there was less teams, but still 4 teams, that's still a really hard playoff field to get into. But 17 seasons is their longest seasons between droughts, and they went another long drought, 86 to 2002. So 16 seasons without making the postseasons from 1986 to 2002. And of course, in that 02 season, they won the World Series. So their only World Series in this franchise's history, and they dominated from 2002 on. The entire early 2000s, late 2000s, mid 2000s, they were dominant. And I don't really remember those Angels teams. I remember just at the very tail end with Torrey Hunter and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., like those guys, like it was popping in Anaheim at Angel Stadium. They were really good, and they had good teams, and you kind of feared them in a way. 2009 was the last time they won a playoff game. That is 15 years, about to be 16 this season. 16 years without a playoff win. That is troubling if you're the Angels, and you're the Angels in a time where baseball has expanded the postseason numerous times. Numerous times. We've gone from 8 teams in the postseason to now, I think it's 12? So 4 teams have been added to the postseason since like 2009 at the very minimum. And the Angels have still yet to really crack a win, yet alone make the postseason. The last postseason appearance was 2014. And so 2014, they get swept by the Kansas City Royals. And, in these years from 2014, you could go back to 2012 when they signed Albert Pujols to the massive extension and Mike Trout comes onto the scene. One postseason appearance, that's an absolute shame. And then you add Shohei Ohtani later on in the years, and they still can't even crack the postseason. So it begins in 2015. They follow up their amazing 98 win season in 2014 with 85 in 2015, 85 and 77, third in the American League West. Billy Epler was then hired as the GM on October of 2015, and Billy Epler, a name that you guys may know if you're around baseball, and Billy Epler, I think he's a bit overrated at this point. Did not do a really great job with the Angels. 2016, 74 and 88, fourth in the American League West. Trout wins his second MVP award. So Mike Trout at the height of his career at this point, he's still getting better as we're going to go along here, but Mike Trout, second MVP, complete generational player, and it really sucks because I'm a big Mike Trout guy, and I love seeing Mike Trout play baseball. See where he's come at this point in his career. I really hope he can finish his career strong. But 74 and 88, fourth in the AL West, Mike Scioscia is still the manager at this point in Anaheim, and the Angels go from first to third, now fourth in 2016. This is along the way of horrible contracts handed out. He's not trying to spend money. Like, you can't say, oh, the Angels don't spend money. They're a team that does spend money, but I don't believe they spend money in the right way, and the player development system with the Angels isn't really good. The culture there with the Angels isn't great. That starts at the top, right? It starts at the top with their owner, and the owner, Artie Moreno, only goes to like 5 games a year at Angel Stadium. He lives in Arizona. It's really a bad look for the Angels and Artie Moreno. 2017 season comes around, and they go 80-82. So this is one of the best finishes in the past 10 years. 80-82, second in the American League West. Pretty mediocre, but yet still good enough for seconds in 2017. And Justin Upton would sign a 5-year, $106 million deal before the 2017 season. So Justin Upton had his years with the Angels. I can't say it really amounted much. Justin Upton was a good player in his career, but with the Angels, I think people kind of forget he played for the Angels, I would imagine. 2018, once again, another 80-82 season. 17 and 18 weren't bad for the Angels. They had some pretty good years there, 2017, 2018, but they finished fourth this time, the same record from second to fourth. And Shohei Ohtani, the legend of Shohei Ohtani, would debut in that 2018 season, legendary season in 2018, and he wins the Rookie of the Year, of course. And the Angels, 4 straight years now without the playoffs. I mean, what's going to happen? Well, 2019, Mike Trout signs a record-breaking 13-year, $426 million deal. I'm not really going to have any complaints about this contract. I mean, Trout wanted to stay in Anaheim. He wanted to be a lifelong Angel. He loved playing in Orange County. He believes in the team, and it's whatever. The Angels are going to build around Trout and Ohtani, and they're going to make this thing work, no problem. But in that 2019 season, really a cursed season for the Angels, 72-90, 4th in American League West. Trout, though, playing at the peak of his heights once again, wins his 3rd MVP. We had the Tyler Skaggs situation in 2019. 20 comes around, and they finish 26-34, of course, the 60-game shortened season. And Angel fans love to bag on the Dodgers 2020 ring is fake. They love saying that. They really do. And I think it's very hypocritical of them. But yet, when half the league made the postseason in 2020, the Angels still couldn't crack that list. I think like 16 teams made it in 2020, and the Angels were not one of them. So they had a chance then, and they still couldn't get in. And 4th AL West finish. Joe Madden is now the manager of the Angels, and of course, Anthony Rendon signed that 7-year contract in 2020. Probably the worst contract in baseball, no doubt about that. 2021 happens, and 77-85 for the Angels, another 4th place finish. Really mediocre, baseball throughout the past 10 years in Anaheim. Ohtani, though, this is where Ohtani really breaks out. He wins the MVP for the first time, and just an incredible season. Perry Minasian is now a general manager in Anaheim. 2022, they go 73-89, 3rd in the AL West, and they have a 15-game losing streak. And I'm going to be honest, I really do root against the Angels. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend I don't. I do like this. I like seeing the Angels lose, but I want them to win. It's kind of weird. I want them to lose. I want them to win. I want them to be good, but then I don't. It's kind of a weird thing, but 15-game losing streak, I couldn't help but laugh at the time, and Joe Madden gets fired. I mean, it was really ridiculous. How can you lose 15 games in a row with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani? This Angels team throughout those years has never been able to build pitching. That's been a thing. Phil Nevin would be the interim manager in Anaheim. 2023, 73-89, so back-to-back 73-win seasons, 4th in the AL West. Ohtani wins his 2nd MVP. Once again, an incredible season. And 23 and 22, we were having discussions about whether or not Shohei Ohtani should be traded at the trade deadline. The Angels held on to Ohtani, gave him this false hope that the Angels would go on a run, in both deadlines, but they did not go on a run. In fact, they tanked when they added. So they don't trade Shohei Ohtani, and that eventually does bite their franchise. I think Shohei Ohtani eventually walks and signs with the Dodgers the following off season. Past season in 2024, I believe the Angels have officially hit rock bottom. There's nowhere to go but up. I mean, if they go down after this, my goodness, I'm gonna feel sorry. 63-99, so they just miss out on 100 losses. 5th in the AL West, the first last place finish in the past 10 years. And Trout is injured once again. Trout injuries have been for the past 3 seasons now. Artie Moreno had a bluff sale of the team, just really bad. But for the Angels, I think they are close. I think they do make the postseason by 2030. I'll just throw it out there, by 2030 at the latest. You will see the Angels back in the playoffs. Whether it's this year or 2030, they will be back in the playoffs. I'm going to say no longer than 2030. They do have a young corpse of players that don't get talked about much, like Ohapi. Neto's pretty good. I think Caden Dana's pretty good on the pitching side of things. So as long as they continue to develop, continue to draft rights, they like rushing prospects and Christian Moore. We'll see how that plays out, but I think the Angels do have a bit of a future here. Fans, let me know your comments down below. Baseball fans, chime in down below. As always, I will see you guys in the next one.